How's it going, guys? My name is Jake. I'm a full-time eBay reseller in the state of Utah. I go by JRideFlips online, and I make the majority of my money flipping junk online. Today I wanted to talk about 10 things that you should not buy from garage sales or thrift stores to list on eBay. The majority of these items are items that people hear about on Instagram or YouTube, and without doing much knowledge kind of get trapped into and thinking that they can sell for a ton of money or thinking that they sell through quickly, when all of these items don't sell through much at all, and they definitely don't sell for some of the prices that you see on social media. So without further ado, let's hop into the first one, which is black diamond VHS tapes and the majority of VHS tapes in general. Now, quick disclaimer here, there are some VHS tapes, especially sealed ones, that can go for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, but the odds of you finding those are significantly lower than social media would lead you to believe. There's an awesome YouTuber called Picking and Punching. I'll put his stuff up right here. He does a really cool video with Commonwealth Picker. I'll probably link that in the description below, where they go over the VHS tapes that are actually worth money, how to tell if they're worth money, and how to grade them if worth it to get even more money for your VHS tapes. But don't go to your totes in your storage units or in your cold storage in your home and look for your vintage Disney VHS tapes. They are not worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. A few of them have sold for $1 million on eBay. That is not, that's a false sell. So VHS tapes in general, especially black diamond Disney VHS, do not sell well on eBay. Don't pick them up. Next up are Beanie Babies. I personally fell victim to this when I first started selling on eBay. I had already sold about, 200 products, and I bought like 15 or 20 Beanie Babies at a yard sale. They were only 20 bucks, so I wasn't out a ton of money, but I looked them up, and there were these three like McDonald's Air ones, and it said that they were selling for several thousand each online, so my heart stopped. I got super pumped. I had them listed in my store for several of thousands of dollars for about 6 months before I took them down and realized that Beanie Babies do not sell for anything. So those vintage Beanie Babies that you see on eBay that sell for hundreds and thousands, they just don't sell for that. A ton of them do sell for 10, 15, 20, even $25. So if you can pick them up for 50 cents to $1, it's still worth it. But they have a pretty slow sell-through rate, and you're definitely not going to get hundreds of dollars for them. Next up are porcelain and decorative statues. Again, of course, there are a ton of these that sell for hundreds and even thousands of dollars. Don't get me wrong here. But the majority of these porcelain statues, they were mass-produced, especially in the 70s and 80s. There's just so many of them out there that they're not worth a ton. This is an example of one that is worth a little bit. This is a Yosef original. This should get me about $40 to $50. This one has a crack on its neck though, so it's been sitting for a while, and it'll probably only sell for about 25 to 30. So there are still good stuff out there. But the majority of porcelain dolls and figurines are just not going to sell for any money on eBay. Fourth on the list, we have vintage Pepsi and Coke bottles, and honestly, a ton of Coca-Cola products in general. We've all seen Pawn Stars and American Pickers and things of that nature where we see all these Coca-Cola products selling for hundreds and thousands of dollars. I've even seen this really rare Coca-Cola jukebox machine that sold for like $180,000. Of course, just like anything else, there are things within categories that sell for a ton of money, but especially those vintage bottles, they just don't sell for much. And even within the vintage bottles, there are some that sell for good money, but if you see just a random vintage Pepsi bottle, it's gonna sell for less than $4 shipped. Some of them are gonna go for $8 plus shipping, but there's typically hundreds or if not thousands listed. There's usually only 10 to 20 sales every 90 days. So you're gonna sit on those, you're eventually just gonna liquidate them for $3 plus shipping, and you're not gonna make a ton of money out of them. So Coca-Cola and Pepsi bottles, 7-Up bottles, there's some beer bottles that go for money, but your average vintage bottle, not gonna go for much money at all. Another one that I fell victim to early on is Avon as a whole. I finally sold, I was going to show you guys some Avon, but I finally sold my last piece of Avon that I bought 20 months ago at a garage sale. It was that little turtle with a screw-on head, and it had some cologne in it. I thought it was going to sell for $40, $50, $60. It sat in my shop for was probably the longest standing item in my store. I finally sold it for $8 plus $4 in shipping, and it sat forever. Avon is everywhere in thrift stores and in garage sales, and there's a reason for that. It's overly mass produced. It's everywhere. You're not gonna be able to get a ton of money for it. Again, there are some Avon pieces that sell for a ton of money, but 98 out of 100 of them will not get you more than $10. Another one that the average beginner gets super excited about and eventually is let down by is decorative plates. These are everywhere in thrift stores and garage sales, and you can usually get them for $1 a plate. And then you see that they are listed on eBay for $20, $30, $40, $50, $60 a plate. So you buy as many of them as you can, and then later on in your journey, you learn about actual sell-through rates and how to see what's actually sold. And then you see that usually 0 to 3 have sold within the last 90 days, and you're usually going to be sitting on them for years and years and years, and you're not going to sell them for what you think you are. So stay away from decorative plates. They're very tempting, especially in the beginning, but they're also hard to ship when they eventually do sell, and they almost never, ever, ever sell. Next up on the list, we have mugs. Shout out to Gary Vee. That is what actually got me into reselling on eBay in the beginning. I watched Gary Vee's trash talking series, saw him picking up mugs, and so I went out the very next day and got some mugs myself. The first item that I ever sold was a Christmas mug, and it broke upon arrival. It was an awesome lesson for me. I learned a lot from it. Since then, I've only sold 11 mugs, and they don't have a fast sell-through rate, obviously. Usually, if you look up an individual mug, there's like 18 or 20 listed, and 0 to 1 have sold in the last 90 days. They do sell. Starbucks, a few Disney mugs tend to sell a little bit more, but again, 98 out of 100 mugs that you see sell for no money. So obviously there's some outliers, but mugs are just not a great thing to build a business around or to pick up often, but you will find a $20, $40, $100 mug here and there. Kind of the same thing, but a little different are beer steins. I remember buying a ton of beer steins at the beginning, Budweiser, all that good stuff, seeing that they sold for $20 to $30 on eBay. This was before I knew how to check solds. I realized, oh wow, about 6 of these sell every 90 days, so and there's hundreds listed. So beer steins are another one of those things that you think are going to sell. There's even some like German ones that people have listed for $300 and $500. I've actually seen a few of them sell at that price, but I've had beer steins listed for months and months and months on end with 0 watchers, minimal views, and no sales. So beer steins are another one that I would not pick up. I saved this last category for last for good reason. That is Disney as a whole. The reason why is because a ton of stuff is worth absolutely nothing, and a ton of stuff is worth an incredible amount of money. And so you guys need to learn how to look things up, see what's actually sold, and understand what is and isn't selling and why it is or isn't selling. So I wasted a little bit of money at the beginning of my journey. I just bought every single Mickey plush I could find, every single Minnie plush I could find. And then I realized, oh, okay, 2017 Minnie doesn't sell because like there's nothing special about it, and 17 million of them were produced that year. Oh, even 2009 Mickey plush that's only 7 inches tall doesn't sell very well because, again, there's nothing special about it. It's just a normal mini Mickey Mouse, and millions of them were produced. But there are tons of Disney globes that sell for hundreds of dollars. There are Disney plastic swords that sell for a ton of money. There's Disney shirts. I just sold a 30th anniversary Splash Mountain shirt for $40 like yesterday. There's a ton of Disney that sells for a ton of money, and there's a ton of Disney that is absolutely worthless. So you got to go through and find what is and isn't worth it. Now, if you guys want to see 10 small things that sell for a huge profit, go ahead and click here. And if you want to see 10 things that you should not buy and will actually get you suspended on eBay, click here. Thank you guys for coming out. Love you guys.